भारत माता की। एमडी जन्मभूमि श्री एम राधाकृष्णन जी, रिस्पेक्टेड श्री सुनील अंबेकर जी, अखिल भारतीय प्रचार प्रमुख राष्ट्रीय स्वयंसेवक संघ, श्री के राजशेखरन जी, फॉर्मर गवर्नर, मेयर डॉक्टर बीना फिलिप जी, ओलंपियन श्रीमती पीटी उषा जी, श्री के वी हसीब अहमद जी, श्री पी नारायणन जी, श्री के एन आर नंबूत्री जी, श्री कवलम शशि कुमार जी, श्री के वी श्री कुमार जी, श्री मधुकर गौर, श्री सुनील कुमार, श्री एमपी श्रीमती जयलक्ष्मी, श्री सेतु माधवन जी, सीनियर प्रचारक, बीजेपी डिस्ट्रिक्ट प्रेसिडेंट श्री वी के संजीवन जी, आरएसएस प्रांत कार्यवाह श्री ईश्वरन जी, dignitaries on the dais, ladies and gentlemen, friends from the media, a very good morning to all of you. Namaskar. I'm happy to be here once again through after a gap in Kerala, which is known as God's own country. COVID-19 pandemic has kept us apart, could not allow us to have the large gatherings. But I'm happy to be here again on a special occasion, and I'm pleased to inaugurate the new office block of Janmabhumi. My heartfelt congratulations to the media house. I could see the vibrancy of the state from the august gathering at this important event. As country's information broadcasting minister, I feel elated that I am participating in an event hosted by an organization which enjoys a prime place as a part of the fourth estate. I'm happy to learn that its vibrant and consistent reporting, editorials and TV coverage, Janmabhumi has made a mark for itself not only in Kerala but all across the country and abroad. I still remember while going through the various papers, news about the information about the Janmabhumi, the first copy of the editorial column in 1975 of Janmabhumi, and I quote, Janmabhumi will approach each problem on the basis of national unity, moral sense, patriotism, and public welfare, and think, evaluate, and formulate our opinion. I unquote. I'm glad that was the foundation and the idea behind starting the Janmabhumi newspaper, and after almost completing 5 decades, 47 years is not a short span. You have stuck to your values and you have grown not only in this part of Kerala but all across country, and you are a well-recognized newspaper and a media house abroad as well. My heartfelt congratulations on this achievement. Well, my dear friends, fourth state has to play an important role in building the public opinion. It played an important role in the pre-independence era. Media evoked the national fervor and patriotism even during the India's pre-independence struggle. It played an important role then also, but I believe that you have to play an important role now as well, a bigger role in India's quest for new India. In this context, media houses like Janmabhumi has a prime place. And when I talk about that you have to play an important role as a fourth estate, during the COVID-19 pandemic, More than pandemic, it became infodemic. And it is not only felt in India but globally. When we used to speak to so many people or my counterparts abroad or at various events, lot of not only India but across the world, this problem of infodemic arose. And because of the misinformation, many lives were lost. There is a growing challenge because of that. So we have to also keep a check on that and see what is going on our newspaper, on our platforms. Because there is a bigger challenge now with the digital media taking some place in the recent times. I'll come back to that. But you might have noticed in the pandemic time also the hard copy, the printed copy numbers have come down. One was the reader was not ready to accept it. Now with the war in one part of the world, there is a shortage of newspaper, the prices are going up. Second, with the digital India, it has also helped. In a way, the Prime Minister said, Aapada mein avsar. In these challenging times, we have to look for an opportunity. And I'm glad that media papers, media houses have seen an opportunity to go digital in that regard also. While interacting with various media houses in the last few months, I've realized their actual digital numbers have gone much higher. Your viewership, readership has gone much higher. I was with the Urdu newspaper industry last week. Well, the numbers which they were saying, the number of printed copies and the digital readership was about 3 times than that. That showcase that not only in India but across the world, you can reach and your reach can also increase. Janmabhumi newspaper as well as the Janam TV have built a reputation for itself with fearless journalism and reporting on key issues with an in-depth reporting and analysis. Since I come from a political party which believes in nationalism, and for us, nation first is the policy of Bharatiya Janata Party, and we always say it is a nation first, party next, and self last. I'm glad you work on the similar lines where you keep the nation first and your readers first, and for that you work day and night, and the credibility of the newspaper speaks for itself. But understanding the challenges you face, I would also look at how in a country like India with a federal structure, with different languages being spoken and different newspapers, periodicals we see in the regional area, I would also like to know how the Government of India with their cabinet decisions or major policy decisions can reach out to every nook and corner of this country. I've seen the kind of coverage being given by the regional newspapers that is actually helping in one part or the other part of this country. But still I believe there is a lot to do, and while post this inaugural session when we'll sit over a cup of tea and I'll be meeting various editors or the owners of various newspapers, I would also like to know how we can work together to communicate better with others in this part of the country. Well, looking at the India's growth, if you look at the last 8 years of Modi government, what we have achieved. Pre-2014, if you look at 2010 onwards, it started with Commonwealth Games scam, 2G scam, various other scams from the coal scam to the Antriksh scam, scam after scam. And when we went for the election campaign, we promised that give us a chance, Prime Minister Modi a chance. That time he was our prime ministerial candidate and the campaign head also. Only thing we promised at that time was that we'll give you clean government and good governance. And today, after 8 years of Modi government, I can proudly say with my head high that in last 8 years of Modi government, there is not even single incident of corruption, not even single paisa charge has been made against the Modi government. We fulfilled that promise. Not only that, when we talk about the public welfare, pro-poor schemes, well, there was one party in this country which ruled for more than 60 years. That party and that family gave a slogan of Garibi Hatao. Not for 1 decade, but for 4 decades they've been saying Garibi Hatao, Garibi Hatao. गरीब तो हटा नहीं, गरीब मिट गया, लेकिन उस पार्टी ने 60 साल राज किया. And one member of that party and that family is an elected MP from this state now. I don't know how often you see him. But when he contested from UP also, we hardly used to see him in Uttar Pradesh also. He lost election there as well. Recently he was here. I'll come back to that issue again. But all I'm trying to say, who were in the government for 60 years, when one of their leader, who was the prime minister at that time of this country, has said, I send 100 rupees and only 15 rupees reaches. 85 rupees is siphoned off. But today we can say, with the use of technology, with the use of transparent system, making the bureaucracy and the system accountable, with the Digital India campaign, by opening 45 crore bank accounts, by giving 130 crore Aadhaar cards, with the JAM Trinity, with the Jan Dhan, Aadhaar and mobile, and with the direct beneficiaries transfer, when Prime Minister Modi announces any scheme and we press a button, with the press of a button, to more than 20 crore women get 31,000 crore rupees by the click of a button without siphoning off even 1 paisa out of that scheme. That is the transparency we bring. That is how accountable we made the system. Even during the pandemic time, during the Garib Kalyan Yojana, Atmanirbhar package, 20 lakh crore rupees package was announced. Well, in a country like India, we can't even imagine of having a package of 20 lakh crore rupees. But during the pandemic, we made it possible. How? As I said, 20 crore 50 lakh women got 1500 rupees each, making it more than 31,000 crore rupees as an help to the women who had the Jan Dhan accounts. Even the specially abled, old age and the widows got 3,000 crore rupees. Those 3 crore people got 3,000 crore rupees as special help. No other country in the world could afford to give free ration, the free food grains, to more than 800 million people, which becomes 80 crore people have been given free food grains for not 1 month, 2 months, but more than 2 years by the Modi government, which no other country could do. Friends, I still see many wearing masks. During the last 2 years of COVID-19 pandemic, when it came, nobody knew what is the remedy. But at that time, I was the Minister of State for Finance, and I used to have frequent meetings with the Honorable Prime Minister, with Nirmala ji and Amit Shah ji, Prime Minister and other senior functionaries, to come out with the Atmanirbhar package. At that time also, when Prime Minister made a committee to look into how we can come out of this pandemic situation, how India can have its own vaccine. If you look at Congress rule for 60 years, even for vaccine in the past, they waited for 30 years They used to import from abroad. They never realized to make it in India. We had the capacities. Our scientists could do so, but they never believed in Indians and the India's capacity. But Prime Minister believed in India's capacity, formed a smaller group, not one, but we made 2 vaccines, and I think we are the only country in the world which has done close to 200 crore vaccines. 200 crore vaccines administered. How many of you have the vaccine? Anyone who has administered the vaccine? किसने vaccine किसने लगवाई है? Anyone who has the vaccine dose? You can raise your hand if you had the vaccine dose. And who had 2 doses of vaccine? One dose means 1 hand, 2 dose means 2 hands. And anyone who has taken free dose, they can clap for Prime Minister Modi. See, it is not only made in India vaccine, but it is administered. The vaccine is given in less than 1.5 year time. 200 crore vaccine in a country like with 1.3 billion population. It is not an easy task. I come from Janmabhumi, Himachal Pradesh. From a mountain state, we have given vaccine at a height of 17,000 feet also, from Himachal Pradesh, Janmabhumi, to God's own country, Kerala. We have given 200 crore vaccines free of cost. Only one person could imagine it. It was Prime Minister Modi who did so. We have a leader like him, who not only imagine, look at, because from Kerala we see a lot of Malayalis going to various parts of the world, traveling, living there, earning their livelihood. Ask them, how many countries have the digital certificate? Even big countries like US and others, they still give the manual certificate. We started with the Arogya Setu app to find your nearabouts, what is the situation of COVID. Then we came out with the COVID app. You go for vaccine, within few seconds, you get your certificate that you got the vaccine done. No other country in the world could do so. Only India did so. It was Prime Minister Modi. Not only that, look at the India's image globally today. We have seen the recent Quad meeting where America, Japan, Australia and India representative attended. American President, Japanese Prime Minister and the Australian Prime Minister were there. The kind of respect India's Prime Minister enjoyed today, it was never in the past. Look at the G7 meeting recently held. India was a special invitee, but look at the kind of respect being given. American President walking up to Prime Minister Modi, greeting him, speaks volume about it. French President hugging Prime Minister Modi and sharing his views. The kind of respect Prime Minister Modi enjoys today is respect of 1.3 billion Indians, which India has earned in the last 8 years. We must be proud of it. Many of you may have gone abroad with the Indian passport before 2014. But when you go abroad with the Indian passport today, there is a different respect for the Indian passport today. That is what India has earned. During the COVID-19 pandemics, when many other countries were struggling and many countries were facing the problem, they were not able to bury the bodies, the dead bodies, for more than 6 to 9 months. They did not get the time. They did not have the facility. Even during that time, the COVID-19 handling by the India was one of the best in the world. Let me also say this. The biggest challenge during the pandemic was to save lives or to save economy. Many used to say, how will you save economy? Prime Minister said, I have to save every single life of Indian. So he was hell-bent to give free food grains and free vaccine to Indians. And today we can proudly say that look at the past. 100 years back when India had the pandemic, more than the pandemic, it is because of the hunger. Millions of Indians died, but during this pandemic, not even a single case where anyone died because of hunger. That was the good handling of the pandemic situation, my dear friends. We may have come out of it to an extent, but we have to learn and analyze how a good leadership can lead during the turbulent times. That is what Prime Minister Modi did too. That is the leader what India has given it to us. One more thing about the economy. Well, many raise the questions. What will happen to the Indian economy? If you look at the GST numbers today, for the last 4 months, continuously the GST collection is more than 1,40,000 crore rupees per month. Last month it was 1,44,000 crore rupees. And in the month of March it was 1,63,000 crore rupees. In last 15 months, more than 15 months, every month we had 1 lakh plus collection. That clearly showcased that one of the biggest reform brought by the Narendra Modi government in the last 8 years and one of the historic reforms post-independence was GST, and it is one of the most successful reform today with large collection happening in the GST. Not only that, if you look at the GDP numbers today, India is the fastest growing economy in the world today with 8.2% GDP growth rate to 8.7% GDP growth rate. That speaks volume about it, sir. We have taken many steps during that time. Programs like Emergency Credit Line Guarantee Scheme, by giving close to 5 lakh crore rupees, which is 20% additional working capital to the micro, small, medium enterprises, the small entrepreneurs to the big entrepreneurs, without giving any collateral or without giving any guarantee or without giving any their land, they got 20% additional working capital. Not only that, income tax refund happened in less than 2 months' time. 1,50,000 crore rupees has been paid. 25% TDS, TCS was less deducted so that the small entrepreneur to the medium entrepreneur should have more cash in hand to have more working capital. One after another step was taken. My dear friends, not only that, to bring more investment into the manufacturing sector. I'll give you one example of electronic goods and the mobile manufacturing. 6 years back, India was the second largest electronic importer in the world. We were the second largest mobile importer in the world. By bringing in production link incentive scheme into the mobile manufacturing, from being the second largest importer, in less than 6 years' time, India became the second largest manufacturer in the world. We used to export 1,300 crore rupees worth mobile phones. Today we export more than 50,000 crore rupees worth mobile phones to the other countries. That showcases what potential India had. But Congress never believed in the Indian capacity. Congress never believed in the Indian youth. Prime Minister Modi believed in the capacity and the capability of Indian youth. That is why, if you look at 2014, there were hardly 400 or 500 startups in India. Today, how many startups we have in India? Can anyone tell me? In last 6 months only, we had 18,000 new startups starting in India. Have 7 months. We have thousands and thousands of startups in India giving jobs to millions of people. Not only jobs, but out of those startups, 100 have turned unicorn, which is one of the biggest example of the strength and power, the capacity and capability of Indian youth. That status of unicorn is not a small thing to achieve. They have brought billions and billions of dollars to the Indian system. They have become job givers rather than the job seekers. That is what we need today. Not only that, my dear friends, we have announced 13 more production link incentive schemes with a total incentive package of 1,97,000 crore rupees. In these 13 sectors, we're going to see millions and millions of jobs being created and billions of dollars investment into these sectors. If you look at the investment also in the last financial year, the FDI inflow was the highest even during pandemic time. It was 83.57 billion US dollars in the financial year 2021. If you look at the agriculture export, even during the pandemic year, it was more than $50 billion, which was the highest ever. If you look at the total export from India, it stands at $670 billion, which is the highest ever. If you look at the services export, it is more than $250 billion, which is the highest ever. My dear friends, from the GST numbers to the GDP numbers, from the export to the agriculture exports, from the FDI inflows to the forex reserves, which stands at more than $600 billion, highest ever since independence, speaks volume about the good governance model of Prime Minister Modi, how good governance can create wealth for the country, how good governance can create jobs for the country, how good governance can do the poor welfare schemes, how good governance can give the good delivery mechanism, how good governance can give the good GDP numbers, how good governance can give you the big GST realization, how good governance can lead into the transformation by bringing transparency and accountability into the system and making India one of the fastest growing economy in the world. That is why in 2014 we said, give chance to Prime Minister Modi, give chance to good governance. And today we stand with our head high by taking India forward with each step, each day we take in the right direction. And let me assure you friends, not only this, in the defense sector, India was the largest importer of the defense items. We have banned more than hundreds and hundreds of items. We have said we are not going to import these defense items now. We have to be self-reliant. India has to be self-reliant. Prime Minister gave a clarion call of Atmanirbhar Bharat by opening up the space sector, by opening up the agriculture sector, by opening up the coal and mining sector, by opening up the defense manufacturing sector, by giving the PLI schemes. These are the biggest reforms happened during the pandemic time, which did not happen in the early 90s. It was Prime Minister Modi who had the courage to do so during the pandemic also. And these reforms are taking India forward. And let me say this with great conviction. I can say this. Today is your 47th years of Janmabhumi. If you invite me, I'll come when you score a half century, when you turn 50 in 2025. I'll come, then I'll say and stand here that Prime Minister Modi has said, will make India $5 trillion economy, and soon we are going to achieve the $5 trillion economy mark, friends. These reforms which opened up the space sector, why should we be dependent on Google? Why should we be dependent on the foreign applications? If we can become the hub of the IT-enabled services, if our IT sector has the potential to do so much, give them an opportunity. If our startups have done extremely well in the fintech space, look at the UPI Bheem application. Look at the UPI digital payment system. Company like Google say today, the country like US to other developed economies say today, we have to learn from the UPI Bheem digital payments, how India has done a transformation by clicking just one button on an application, you can transfer funds to anyone in the country. From a small rickshaw driver to a rediwala to a small tea stall owner to a big media house or any other company, you have the power of the digital payments today. You don't look at the plastic currency. Because globally, people moved from coin to paper currency to the plastic currency, then to the digital payment. Whereas India has moved from coin to paper, then directly to the digital currency. We have leapfrogged that showcase the India's talent and potential, how we can adopt the technology. 7 years back when Prime Minister used to say Digital India, many used to raise question, kya hai Jan Dhan Khata? What is Digital India? Today you can look at it, how it has transformed. That is the vision of Prime Minister Modi. He knows where he has to take India. And when we are celebrating the 75th year of independence, Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, Prime Minister Modi has given a clarion call that in the next 25 years, not only we have to talk about our rights as per our constitution, we have to also talk about the responsibility as a responsible citizen. What will be our contribution in the next 25 years in the nation building process? Are we ready to give our contribution? Are we going to be responsible enough? Not only as a media house, not only as a member of parliament, not only as an elected representative, but also as a common citizen of this country. We should contribute either in one field, two fields, three fields, but we should contribute towards the nation building process and make India not only one of the fastest growing economies, but the wish guru. We have to make India. That is the time has come. In the next 25 years we have to do so. In every sector we have to do. New education policy has come after 34 years. I used to hear a lot of voices from the region, from Tamil to Malayalam to Telugu to others. Voices for the regional language. The new education policy gives you that. I request the Janmabhumi media house, please let us have more debates in this Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav on various topics like new education policy, skills, what are we doing, what are we achieving by doing more than 1.3 crore skills. We have already given to 1.3 crore Indians. We will be giving skills to millions of people this year as well. But not only that, look at the startups. We should also have a debate on startups. We should also have a debate on sports. When PT Usha ji is here, Olympian and others, let me say one thing. Look at this special year when Olympic happened in Tokyo. It was a great year for India. In 120 years, what we could not achieve in the athletics, Neeraj Chopra has won a gold medal for India by making a national, खुशी नहीं हुई national record की. Neeraj Chopra has won a gold medal in Olympics. Post that we have won 19 medals in Paralympics, 16 medals in Deaf Olympics. Thomas Cup we never won in badminton. After 73 years, we won the gold medal in Thomas Cup. And IBA Women World Boxing Championship, we stood at the number 3. Again, Neeraj Chopra has broken the national record. One after another, we have done a lot in the sports sector also. So we should start talking about these areas and taking the opinion of people. We are coming out with the new youth policy and the sports policy. I look forward to your views and opinions, how we can incorporate in the new youth policy, what should be the elements when we stand today celebrating the 75th year of independence. What should be the road ahead for the 100th year of independence? How Indian youth can play an important role. I seek your suggestions for that as well. I can speak a lot on a lot of things, but let me say a couple of things before I end, because we have to listen to our senior colleague, Aditya Sunil Ambekar ji. Friends, what we have done for the pro-poor. The pro-poor measures, on one hand it is the 45 crore bank Jan Dhan Khatas, Jan Dhan accounts. On the other hand it was 130 crore Aadhaar cards. Every village of this country, India, has been electrified. Every household has got the electricity connection. More than 80 crore LED bulbs have been distributed. Not only that, 3 crore new houses have been built for the poor. In the next 3 years, every poor in this country, as per the 2011 census, will get a pakka house, a concrete house for themselves, and in the next 2 years, every household will get a tap connection, water connection, a potable water in the next 2 years. We have given 9 crore connection, the water connection in the last 2 years, and we are going to fulfill our promise to give every household tap water or a potable water in the next 2 years, which didn't happen in good 75 years. Modi government has promised to do that in 8 years, and we are able to achieve majority of this. And I can promise standing here, whatever Prime Minister Modi has announced publicly or in the cabinet decisions, we are going to fulfill those promises. If you look at the constructions of road, during the UPA time, the national highways built 12 kilometers per day. Today it is 37 kilometers per day. The number of highways have increased almost double than what was built in 70 years, we built in 7 years. Equal amount of highways, equal amount of rural roads. Look at the figures of 70 years and 7 years. It speaks volume about Modi ji's speed and the delivery mechanism. My dear friends, we have been working with the motto of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas and Sabka Prayas. In all the welfare schemes, there is no differentiation between caste, creed, religion or others. If you fall into that welfare category, you will get that. And if you look at the number in your home district, your village and all, you will find it has been majority given to those people where you will find making some noises that, oh, they have not been given this and that, or BJP is against them, this and that. They are the majority who got the benefit, but the Congress have been using them for their vote bank politics. Appeasement policies of the previous governments have given them nothing. They just become a vote bank for the previous governments. Let me assure you, for us, every Indian is treated in the similar fashion without looking into their caste, creed and religion. We work for the welfare of the poor, and that is why I said Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas and Sabka Prayas is the motto of this government. Not taking more time, let me once again come back to the journalism, because today when you talk about the fourth pillar of the fourth estate, I also hear a lot of things from individuals to the media owners, different kind of complaints. The common man will say, if anything wrong has been written against them, it's a 2-page, full-page articles, but the corrigendum is given this much. So is that justified? That is one. Second, there's a lot of challenges from the digital media or the web portals or the new media. Well, we have gone ahead with the self-regulation for the OTT platforms. To an extent, it is helping. There are many challenges when you go for the self-regulation also. But if you look at the Press Council of India and for the News Broadcasters Association and others, we have left it to them as well, so that in a mature democracy, when India is the mother of democracy, and we must realize the role of elected representative, but also at the same time, how responsible the media has to be, because any reporting, it may lead to any kind of situation. At times we see a lot of comments made which are not part of the formal judgments and part of anything, but that lead to a different kind of situation. With the growing number of media houses each passing day, the responsibility is also increasing, and I'm sure with the ethos and the work culture of Janmabhumi and the way you have led in the last more than 4 decades, I'm sure with your new facility in place, with the use of technology, with your work culture and nationalism behind the whole idea of starting this newspaper. And when it started during the peak of emergency. When you achieve anything during the peak of emergency or during the emergency time, when the country was struggling, when people were restricted in their houses, put in the jails, you had the courage to come out and start a newspaper. I salute to your courage, I salute to your conviction, and I salute to what you have achieved in last 47 years. And I'm sure you are bound to do well in the coming years also. So let me in the end say, let us work together for the strengthening of the country, working on the same idea of what Janmabhumi has started with, by keeping in mind the national unity, national integrity, moral sense, patriotism. Well, many people raise a question mark on the patriotism today as well. How can anyone say or raise a question mark on nationalism or patriotism? But still many people try to do so. You keep the public welfare in your mind. You have a good editorial leaders, opinion makers here who go through all the news items and publish it, and that is why you have earned this credibility over last so many years. I wish you good luck for the future, and I'm sure with the growing challenge or with the growing competition, it is going to bring the best out of Janmabhumi Media House, and I'm sure you're going to do well in the future also. Thank you once again for this large audience from various parts of the state. This hall has, not even a single chair is vacant, and I could see so many people standing here and outside the hall also. That speaks volume about the credibility of Janmabhumi. Thank you all for being here. Bole Bharat Mata ki, Bharat Mata ki,
Jai.
Vande,
Mataram.
Vande.
Mataram.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद.